Hello and welcome to the LPL Showdown. Tonight is a night of underdogs and giants as the top 4 teams currently in LPL, OMG, Edward Gaming, LGD, and Snake, will face off against, well, if they want to win, they really have an uphill battle ahead of them. First will be King versus LGD, second, Vici Gaming versus Snake, third, OMG versus Gamtee, and finally, Edward Gaming will play their third best of 2 of the week against WE, also playing their third best of 2 of the week. This used to be a really highlight rivalry, but we'll get into that more later.
Unfortunately, all my excuses have been used up for King, and I can no longer continue to blindly support them. But let me create some context for where the King hype came from and where it is currently shriveled and died. In the offseason, between splits, China ran a number of third-party tournaments. A lot of these events showcase King alongside highly respected teams, repeatedly performing, showing a certain level of sophistication over their competition, dominating the LSPL to be auto-promoted. It wasn't a far stretch to predict that King would be a worthy force. And then LPL happened. I don't know if it's the ramp in schedule preparation, the pressure of the big stage, or the patch change, but King cannot find their stride, not against top teams and not against bottom teams. Once respected for their ability to adjust to patches quickly, King's top laner Skye is a major culprit in their downfall, failing to pick up Rumble, Kassadin, or Gnar, and instead sticking to Maokai. Their strikes are on Lonely and Lei's ability to control vision and how King manipulate that for superior rotations. It's actually a lot of fun to watch. And despite King's recent inability to put a 2-0 together, they still have a very matured grasp of warding and working around that information. This doesn't translate past 30 minutes, though, and like their LSPL brother Snake, King struggle to close late games if they don't get an early snowball. The shiny point here is that King are facing LGD, and LGD have a horrid early game, which shouldn't be surprising considering their jungler is Twin. Although LGD should mechanically dominate every lane, save for jungle, if King can return to their tower diving aggression from their LSPL run, they have the potential to cause a lot of problems for LGD, but I'm really tired of running on potential with them. Speaking of failure to execute, LGD are limping off their 2-0 loss by Invictus Gaming last night. Though IG did look far more controlled than ever before, LGD struggled to figure out how to work around a Kalista-based composition in Siege. If Imp continues to favor that champion, we may continue to see LGD drop to lower bracket teams as Kalista keeps PYL locked down in that lane. Player to watch is always going to be PYL in an LGD game. Shot caller and captain, how early PYL gets involved with his team directly determines the outcome of victory or defeat.
Vici Gaming versus Snake is the highlight match of the night and the one with the greatest upset potential. Vici Gaming has been manipulating vision more effectively lately and managed to 2-0 Invictus Gaming and take a game off Starhorn Royal Club. They're finding the ins and outs of their hodgepodge roster now, and they could actually be able to abuse a weakness we've seen in Snake's games fairly effectively. This weakness is vision, and when we say vision, we immediately think of Dandy and Mata. Snake has been playing it hard and fast, but Beast's jungle pathing tends to be more towards the top side, and it could be easily cut off or predicted with good wards. In addition, OMG showed that Crystal's overzealous positioning can make him easy pickings with well-lit surroundings. Another point of contention is, as always, Baka Xerath. Hatong has shown that he has some competence with the champion as well, and Vici Gaming might want to pick it away or ban it. Ultimately, the prongs of attack for Vici Gaming will be in strangling the vision of the bottom side and using Dandy and his solo laners, who I like to call Dandy's ducklings, to kind of roam and follow him around and give Beast a hard time in his jungle. Elo will be Snake's first and last line of defense. His vision control has been a protective force for Snake so far, especially Crystal, who likes to wander off into fog of war, and his John appeal is pretty out of this world. But he's against vision-controlled giants Dandy and Mata, and he has his work well cut out for him.
OMG, who now sits at the top of the standings, is going to be going against Gamtee, who is near the bottom of the standings and has looked like they've been struggling, but are somewhat a good team. It's just that the fact that they don't seem to be ready to take the leap to LPL yet. I think with practice, Gamtee can actually be a decent team, but for now they're going to struggle and probably sit near the bottom and risk relegation. But let's see here. The thing is, OMG is top of the bracket right now. However, their wins haven't really been against overly impressive teams. They've beaten Energy Pacemaker, they've beaten Masters 3, they did admittedly beat Starhorn 2-0, which is good, and then World Elite and Vici. They also traded games with Snake. Now, OMG is like EDG in the sense that they like to experiment, just not as heavily. They had a lot more static style this time around. Still did drop a game to Snake, though, so that is something worth considering. However, the upset potential here is a little unlikely. I'd say the highlight of Gamtee so far has been Tail, but even so, I mean, you have Tails up against Uzi, so I don't really see Gamtee winning this matchup at all. The thing is here is that OMG is actually kind of a hard team to upset as a bottom team because their style this split is just strictly brute forcing. They're not really experimenting with EDG where they're running poke one game and then they're running like a brute force strategy the next game and then, you know, they're using a split push comp the next game. No, OMG is basically just brute forcing because they have strong lanes in every lane, and then they snowball that advantage off the lane and then win the game. So individually, Gamtee's talent just does not line up to OMG's. This means that it's very likely that OMG is going to take this set flawlessly.
WE versus Edward Gaming was pretty much the best of two you tuned in for last year. Everyone showed up to watch Clearlove and FCZF face Weishao and Xiaomei as they took out their frustrations for the splintering of the victorious IPL 5 roster that fell apart when Coach Aaron, FCZF, and Clearlove departed for Edward Gaming. Of course, that's all gone now. Now we have what will most likely be a one-sided disaster area. Edward Gaming has simply outclassed almost every team so far, whereas WE sits at the bottom of the pile. Edward Gaming's previously superb teamfighting still holds, and they supplemented that with diverse styles and experimentation, from pawn split pushing to skirmishes all over the map and lane dominance. WE's one saving grace will be in Spirit. If Spirit can make something happen in the bottom lane, STYZ can go off. It's going to be Clearlove's job to control Spirit's movements and keep him from doing what he wants, which shouldn't be too hard since he has an actual team behind him. With that out of the way, Clearlove can use his normal style, which is to control teamfights and create zones with Nunu. Ultimately, WE might want to resort to some kind of split pushing or cheese since EDG will just outclass them as a team.